would like to start, before I discuss the piece I would like to discuss, I would like to start with a story that I read recently. But before that, a conversation that I had with somebody today. And I found the conversation exasperating. You know, you think that you're going somewhere in the conversation, and you find out you have done absolutely nothing. So, that happens. I would like to share with you the conversation that I had. This person is really a wonderful person. He's a fine Talmud Chacham. He has good midos. And for some reason, he has a lack of friends. And all the people that know him say he's a nice guy. And he's pleasant to be around. And he has a lack of friends. And he came to speak to me about something. And I thought that I found the source of the problem. And I told him as follows. I said, there's chesed, there's sinas chinam, and there's avas chinam. What is avas chinam? What does that mean? What does that mean? Means that you love somebody for no reason. There's no reason. Sometimes people do chesed, and they do chesed bitzina. They don't want people to know about it. Is that the ultimate altruistic chesed? So I'd like to share with you a thought on that. Now, obviously, as in all things, there are madregas. You know, I'm right now speaking in the world of purists. I'm not talking about in practicality what to do. The following is a true story. There's a fellow who through a certain institution, supports many Avrohom. And they're handpicked. He has certain things that he thinks these are the guys I wanted to get. And he gets absolutely no recognition because nobody knows what he does. I told this story to the fellow that I was speaking today. And somebody asked him, how do you keep on doing it all the time? Lishma. Okay? So he says, come to me Shabbos afternoon and I'll be able to answer the question. So the guy comes to him Shabbos afternoon and he says to him, they meet in a park. They say, you see this family, this wonderful family, husband and wife, wonderful children. They're one of my clients. I come here every Shabbos and I shep nachas. Baruch Hashem that my tzedakah dollar goes to a good cause. I turned to the fellow who I'm speaking to and I said, is that lishma? Is that lishma? So he says, what do you mean? I said, he's getting a kickback. He knows where his dollar's going. And he says every week, it's worth it. Now that's wonderful. Can you do that? He should double their salaries. You know, I'm not right now. That's not the subject which I'm talking about. But that's not lishma. Lishma would be if a person has a drawer, he has no idea how much money is there, and people don't know that it's his drawer, and he puts money there all the time, and nobody knows that it's his money. He has no idea how much money he gave, to how many people he gave, to who he gave. So that's a higher level of lishma, because it's very hard to pat yourself on the back if you don't know who you gave, what you gave. So why would that guy give? Because he has a midah of giving. or he has understanding that he has a shlichus to give. Whatever the point is, that's a much higher level of lishma. So I said to him, you have to be concerned and care and do things for people lishma. That means not expecting back anything in return. And I thought that I made myself very clear. And I didn't say it to him like I was speaking to a child, but I said to him, do you understand what I said? So he said, yeah. That means I have to understand that I'm not immediately going to be seeing anything, but Lamaisa, I should understand that I'm helping other people. He said, you didn't hear one word that I said. That's not lishma. You're just like the guy in the story. Okay, this is an incident that happened today, and it took, I think, 25 minutes for me to at least be able to pat myself on the back that maybe he understood what I say. I'm not sure. Still not sure if he did or didn't, but I tried. Okay? The following machlokes happened in the Chabini Yeshiva about 40 years ago. I wish on every Rosh Yeshiva they should have to decide on this shaila. There's one guy who he would give haircuts to all the bochrim and charge them for it, and the money would go to a tzedakah. A competitor opened, you understand the competitor? A competitor opened, and he said he wants to do chesed with the bochrim. He wants to give haircuts for free. So there was a machlokes. Who holds the key to the cartel? The guy who charges and gives the money to tzedakah. This is a true story. I didn't make this up. Or the guy who does it for free. So they came to the Rosh Yeshiva to paskin the shaila. Okay, what a shaila. So the person who says, I don't really remember what the Rosh Yeshiva answered, but I do remember what he discussed in the conversation. This Rambam, which he discussed, I've discussed this many times in Mishnah Berurah before Purim, discussed it many other times. The Rambam says if you have a choice to give one person $100 or 100 people $1, better you should give 100 people $1, because I'm sure that some of you may be familiar with this concept. Every time you put your hand in your pocket to give somebody money, it hurts. So you work on your midos by giving many nesinos, more than you work on your midos than giving one big nesina. Now, agav, I just want to point out, I'm not sure it's always like that. Sometimes it's easier for me to just give a little bit of money than when I have to give a lot of money. As a friend of mine said, there's two things: there's money, and there's a lot of money. That's not the same currency. There's money and a lot of money, right? But Ekshahu, this is what the Rambam says. The Rambam says that it's more important that you give smaller nesinas than one big nesina. Now, just a makom iyun on the Rambam. It seems to me clearly, what I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you for real, this is what I believe, la halacha, that the Rambam is telling us something very important. First, the consideration of how you're going to benefit ayidei midos overrides what should be the better tzedakah. In other words, if it wouldn't be for this midah issue, it seems that the Rambam would say, better give one big donation someplace where it's going to make a much more major dent than all these puny things which make a much lesser dent in the person's situation. But why? Because it's more important that you grow as an individual. In other words, it seems to me that's the Pashut reading of the Rambam, which is fascinating. That means, as the Svarim say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us mitzvahs litzaref behem es habriyos. in order that we should become purged of our inadequacies. So even though which mitzvah is better, the better mitzvah seems to me that the Rambam is implying, it's not mufurish, but it seems to be implying the bigger nesina. But the bigger nesina guys will have to wait until you become a mensch, until you work on the cut, which is a fascinating thing. Now I would like to discuss what I would like to discuss tonight on the Parsha. The last of the Aseres HaDibros. The last of the Aseres HaDibros doesn't belong here. We have Anochi Hashem Elokecha, we have Shvu Shav, Kaberes Avicha, Gzeila. We have all kinds of things. Lo Sachmod Eishes Reyecha, Avdoi V'Amosoi, Shoyro V'Chamoro V'Chol Asher L'Reyecha. What'd you do wrong? Would anybody know if you did this Avera? Does this stack up to killing, to avoid a Zara? This is a Suffolk misdemeanor, at best. And it's the grand finale of the Aseres HaDibros. L'chayra, it doesn't belong here. So first, I will share with you Rav Shantra Full Hirsch's answer to this question. And in order for me to be mamchish, to make it touchable, I would like to share with you, I have a friend of mine whose father was a Talmud of Rav Dessler in the beginning, in the first years of the Kollel in Gateshead. And he became a Rosh Yeshiva in the United States, and Rav Dessler came to the United States for a visit. They were in Manhattan, and they were entering the subway, the tube, for those who don't know what I'm talking about. And they hear the train coming into the station. So the Talmud, the already American, tells his Rabbi, Rav Dessler, let's hurry up and catch our train. Rav Dessler, the Kelmer Balmidas, says something that if you remember this, your blood pressure will drop for most of your life. You never miss your train. Okay? I think that's much easier said than done. Okay? But this is what he said. You never miss your train. We're walking at a deliberate pace because this is the way that we're supposed to be going. And if the train left the station before we got there, obviously it's not our train. I believe that this is not an easy philosophy to live by. How does one come to live by that? Okay, this is a serious, I'm asking a serious question. You know, it sounds nice on paper. My Rebbe, Moshe Halberstam, once he was like in a very, call it maybe a chilled out mood, and we were having a discussion about many things. And he says, you know, people, when they daven, they make a cheshbon, should I daven for this, should I daven for that? It's all wrong. And he said something really beautiful. He said, a person goes to collect money for some tzedakah, whatever tzedakah it is, it's irrelevant. And he goes, there's a big guy, a multi-millionaire, and you want to hit him for some serious cash. Don't tell him the Rambam. Okay, you want to hit him for some serious cash. So you do research, and you find out what kind of tzedakahs he gives to, and what time is the best time to meet him, and you try to beef up your sales pitch to address him in the way that's going to speak to him. Why should you do that? You know the guy's a philanthropist. You know he wants to give tzedakah. Why do you think it'll make a difference? And Moshe asks, and he answers. He says, even the richest person has limited funds. He can't give everyone. And therefore, we have a tendency to give to the things which we feel closer to. If a person had limitless funds, so he'd give to everything, because he also agrees they're all deserving. But I just cannot give to everybody, and I have no choice but to hold back on my giving, and therefore you have to work out the best way to hit the guy. Avrohom Baruch, Bameh Dvarim Amurim, when you're speaking about a basar v'dam that has limited cash, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Kol Yochol, you don't have to be cheap on what you ask for. Ask for everything. He can do it. He can afford it. He wants you to be successful. Don't have to research what thing. Where does that come from? It's a beautiful thought, but where does that come from? It comes from one word: emunah. You believe HaKadosh Baruch Hu is running the world. You believe He has the power to do it all. And all you have to do is surrender yourself to that. You know, I'm jealous. That guy has a red Ferrari, and I would really like to have one. Am I jealous of his red Ferrari? I would take a different one. I don't need his red Ferrari, right? Elamai, since there's a limited amount of red Ferraris, so that one must be mine that he's in. So he, Be'etzem, is in my red Ferrari. The audacity. And he walks around like it's his. If you would believe that HaKadosh Baruch Hu really gives each person exactly what they need, and he could afford to give everybody everything. The guy's a millionaire, it's not on your expense. HaKadosh Baruch Hu could give everybody, have everybody be millionaires. He didn't take your business away. He took his business, and Hashem wants you to be a failure. Accept it. No, I don't believe it. There must be some way that we can work it out to have HaKadosh Baruch Hu finance my deal and not be preoccupied with others. Lo Sachmod, says Rav Hirsch, is the ultimate lack of emunah. We start Anochi Hashem Elokecha, and we end with the ugly side of a lack of emunah. That's L'Sachmod. A beautiful pshat. Ba'etzem I should go home. But I have another pshat. Malasot. Have to continue. The Rambam writes in the Tshuva, this is really sad. There are people who do Averis, and they'll never do tshuva on them, because they think that they're mitzvahs. Now, I would like to share with you just an amusing story, which is not funny, how this actually exists in the world that I grew up in. I was standing with my father, Zachariash, in the Jewish bookstore. That's what it's called in America. And this man, I'm just telling you the way it actually was, this man walks in without a kippah, his shirt open, wearing a gold necklace, and he laces into my father, "How dare you say that so-and-so is not a Machal Shabbos?" Now this was interesting. Pass the popcorn. I have to, what's going on. And he says, the person is a Shomer Shabbos, slander Lashon Hara. And my father holds his ground. And he says, in Bezdin, we had Eidim come and say that this man drove on Shabbos morning. Chal Shabbos. That's Chilul Shabbos. He's the ultimate Shomer Shabbos. Quote, according to strict conservative halacha, you're allowed to drive to shul on Shabbos. How dare you call him a Machal Shabbos? I was present by this conversation. What happened afterwards is not relevant. Everything, so to speak, everybody held their ground. It ended peaceful. There was no brawl. Nothing happened. And I walked away really, really sad. Here's a guy. Now, I'm not talking about where it started, but where he is right now, he really believes that is the Chatzadik. I go to shul on Shabbos, and for going to shul on Shabbos, you call me a Machal Shabbos? I'm Ovetz. You think that guy will ever do tshuva? There's no chance. We don't do tshuva for mitzvahs. No. I thought about doing an Aveira. I was 17 or 16 years old, and I went to my yeshiva in America, extremely troubled. And I asked him a question, which to me was clear. This is the ace in the hole. This question there is no answer to. And he just flicked me off. And I'm going to share with you the question and his answer. Learning at that time, I was learning Mabit, Beis Elokim, speaking about the merida of people who do Averis and their thoughts. And basically, what the Mabit says is basically the following setup. You have a guy that wants to kill someone. He stalks him, he trails him, he knows his path, and he sets up his gun on a tripod, waiting for the situation to happen. He's oduk bechet for a half a year. The man goes to the place where he's supposed to go. He pulls the trigger, and a lousy bird gets in the way, and he kills the bird. Roitzeach. The man's a Roitzeach. This bird had Rachmanis on him. Is there a greater Roitzeach than that? The person's oduk bechet retzicha for 6 months. And there's another guy who's a shomer, and something suspicious happened. He pulls his gun, and as he's putting it away, niflat kadu, and chalila kills someone. He has to do tshuva. Tshuva is the chatzadik. He's worried about people. The first guy did nothing wrong, and the second guy put him in a slammer. This is fair? This is the question I asked Marashia. And he looks at me, totally puzzled by how could such simple things be elusive to me. He said the first person didn't kill and the second person did. I knew that, right? He didn't tell me something that I didn't know. And I understood that was the end of the conversation. I'm not getting anything out of this. That's the end. It took me about 10 years, maybe 15 years, till I totally comprehended what he said. I believe everybody over here understands machshavas are machshavas, and machshavas are mitzdaref to maisa, but a machshava is only a machshava. If there's no payoff, it's only a havamina. What about chemda, le Sachmod? It's also only a machshava. New Rosh Hashiva, I should call him up right now and ask him what you have to say. I haven't spoken to him in about 3 weeks. Rosh Hashiva in America. No, what do you say now? He probably wouldn't remember the whole conversation, but his opinion of me hasn't changed. But Echsho, what's the answer to the question? Oh, okay. But now to understand, it depends what kind of machshava about what. This machshava can weasel away the underpinnings of everything. I'm not even talking about the yesod that Rav Hirsch is talking about, the amuna part, but this drives the person in the wrong direction. It's only a machshava, but we all understand, I call this mitzvah le'sachmod. The short version, l'sasura achrei levavchem v'achrei nechem, which causes people to sin. It's only a machshava, but it's the root. And the Torah demands that we recognize the machshava. And there are certain mitzvahs that those mitzvahs are mitzvahs of machshava, because that's where they happen. Now, I would just like to start with the obvious mitzvah that everybody asks. We have a mitzvah, we say it twice or 3 times, some people say it 4 times a day. V'ahavtas Hashem Elokecha. We have a mitzvah to love Hashem. Can that be demanded of us? The answer obviously is yes, because it is. So, but how could that be demanded of us? How could that be demanded? And this is discussed in many, many svarim, but everybody basically boils it down to the same thing. You can condition yourself, you can treat yourself, you can bring it to a situation of recognition. Recently, b'schus my travels to Beit Shemesh and back, I'm zoichet to hear different people speak. I have a device in my pocket that I get digital shiurim, and the person discussed something which I discuss often, just he had a different spin on it. People have a shalom bayis issue, they go to the arbitrator, therapist, psychologist, whatever kind of ist you want to call him, call him an istinus, whatever it is, they go to him, and the person says, write down 3 things you don't like about your husband. You write down 3 things you don't like about your wife. And then we're going to start to work on them. So the person said, that's not wise. I'm quoting somebody. I'm not going to say I'm quoting. That's not wise. If I were the therapist, I would say something else. I'm not going to tell you what he said. I'm going to tell you what I want to say. I would say, write down 3 things you like about your wife, 3 things that you like about your husband. Let's start from the positive side. As I've told many couples, your spouse can't be that bad. You actually married them. right? There must have been something positive about them, at least way back then, like 3 months ago, right? There must be something, right? Let's start there. Let's start with the positive. If a person stops to think of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given him, he'll be overjoyed, over thankful, and he would love back that which HaKadosh Baruch Hu to him. But what's the problem? We focus on the negative. A person who focuses on the positive, that will foster love. Imagine, just use this example. Someone just told me, this guy, he was in Gaza, and he was saved by miracles because the bullet just didn't hit the artery, didn't hit his spinal cord, whatever the miracle was. There's some people would say, God, don't need your miracles. Just have me not be injured. Why should the fellow be thankful? He should have complaints to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I understand that there's no rabbi is not supposed to ask these questions. But the answer to the question is that we all understand that the normal thing to happen when the person is at war is that he should have been killed. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'roiv rachma v'chasodav saved him. So focus on the good. That fosters love. Sachmod is focusing in the wrong place. I sat together yesterday with a teacher of high school boys. He told me in advance he wanted me to observe this interaction. He said there's a boy that they set him up with a good chavrusa, and the chavrusa came late. They said, you came late, I'm not learning with you. And I told the boy, this happened a few months ago, I told the boy that it's good chavrusa. He says, no, I'm not learning with him. He said, let's ask somebody else on the hall, what do you think? And then that's up. I said, you should learn with him, even though he came late, you should learn with him. I'm not learning with him. Now it's 2 months later. I watched this happen. This is an amazing thing. This is called an educator. So he asked the boy, is there a reason that you didn't learn with him? So he says, yeah, you don't know the whole story. He's still bubbling inside. She said, what's the story? The day before, I wanted to learn. I said, come and learn. And he said, no, I'm schmoozing. And the next day, he comes late. He doesn't deserve to learn with me. So the Rabbi asks him, so who suffered? And the kid smiles and says, he doesn't deserve to learn with me. He's not willing to own up. You understand? This is us. This is us. Who started it? I say always, there are two kids, they're fighting. So one said, who started it? And the other one says, he did. And the other one says, he did. Which one's lying? Neither of them. One guy first insulted the other one. Reuven insulted Shimon, and then Shimon smacked Reuven. So who started it? Well, it depends. If you're talking about who insulted, Reuven was first. If you're talking about who hit, Shimon was first. So everyone is self-righteous, and they put the marker where they want, and they write history the way they want, which is, when I say it's fine, meaning to say that we're aware that this is what happened. Sachmod tells us, put the marker where it's supposed to be. It's none of your business. The thought to think about what other people have is disastrous. I would like to share with you, just in close, my personal mashal. This mashal is 100% true. It's based on a Gemara, just that never happened. But the concept is true. Imagine, you go to Olam Haba, and they go through your life, and then Hashem says, you deserve Olam Haba. They give you this big book and say, create your own mansion. And there's page after page of room after room, this amazing, they used to be called catalogs. I don't think that they exist anymore. They went someplace together with the Manhattan phone book, I imagine. I don't know, but there used to be this thing called a catalog, and you would go through and look at the pictures, and the guy said, okay, how many rooms could I have? He said, you can have whatever you want. Whatever you want. Limitless. This is God. You can have whatever you want. And he makes the ultimate palace. And this is not like Israeli workers. He gives in the thing. Presto! Come, let's see your house. Like on the spot, you understand? Shut. And he goes through the house, and everything to the detail is exactly how he likes it. It's amazing. And when he went through one room, there was a window there that he doesn't recall ordering that window. After HaKadosh Baruch Hu finished giving him his tour, and he's settling into the mansion that he created, he could have had whatever he wanted, and this is his ultimate dream. He wanders into that room that has that window, and he says, let's see what's in the window. He draws the curtains, and he sees his neighbor's mansion. Wow! Look what he did! I could have done that. And he starts to eat himself up. Gehenna! In Gan Eden, he gets Gehenna. Why? Because he sees what Yena has. If he would have never opened that window, he would have had Be'emet! Be'emet! What he wants. He saw what somebody else has, and it spoils what he really wants. This is pathetic. I just want to share with you something which I, as a rabbi, have a privilege to know that many of you don't know. There are many people here in the community, and some of them I know intimate things that go on in their lives. And sometimes I even know that Reuven is really jealous of Shimon. And Shimon is jealous of Reuven. I know. How do I know? Unfortunately, because I know. And I also know that if Shimon would know the disasters that go on in Reuven's life, he would thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And in the same way, the other way around. But what can I do? This is called professional confidence. I cannot say. Kadosh Baruch Hu, even our tzaras, they're tailor-made for us. There is no mistake in delivery. Chazal say if you put your hand in the pocket and you get the wrong coin out, it's with a cheshbon. There's nothing that happens for naught. And to just think about it, you're putting yourself in the wrong place. Because our thoughts are what motivate us. Our thoughts are the things that cause the actions that we do. The close of the Aseret HaDibros is if you think properly, you will never come to transgress on all of them. Because all of the Aseret HaDibros come about because we have a point of weakness. If our thoughts are always clear, and I will end off with the words of the middle Chabadsker Rebbe, which I said this over here in Shul probably 15 years ago, so those who don't remember, or those who weren't here, I'll share it with you. He was threatened to sign a certain document, and they told him, if you don't sign, we'll kill you. And he may say this beautiful poetic statement. Those people who have one life and many gods becomes tense at such a confrontation. Better do the right thing. But those who have only one God and many lives, I'm not concerned. It's clear to me what I have to do. And if that means move on to the next life, then that's what we do. There's no reason for lachatz. Lachatz doesn't exist. In the world of chemda, it exists. And we live in that world that there's no end. There's no end. They say that they have it rigged when you go to Vegas, that you always win. I'm sure that it can't be. There's nothing rigged there. I have no suffix, right? But so they say, because once you get the taste, we can't get the ferocious desire of chemda out of you. We zeicha not to have thoughts of going out of bounds. Improper thoughts starts with chemda. Even if it will have no real payoff. They say the story of a multimillionaire that already was al eres devai. He was dying on his deathbed, and they asked him. Asked the people, take a bag of gold coins and put it next to my head. They say I'll be able to dream more about spending money. Can't even live, but the chemda, the taiva are still there. May we be zeicha not to foul our thoughts and not to have any sveikus in the mood.